Section 5.5 starts into division of polynomial functions. So 5.5 specifically is called applying the remainder theorem and factor theorems. This first video is really just going to focus on the process called long division. And you, I would imagine, have done long division in the past, probably in elementary school. But polynomial long division is a little more complicated. So I'm going to just walk through a basic long division problem to get you thinking about the process first. Alright, so this one says take 57 divided by 3 using long division. And I really want you to think about the steps that you're doing because I know that this is a very simple problem for you, or so it should be. So when you do long division, you see how many times 3 will go into 5, and of course 3 will only go into 5 one time. So the first step we just did was divide. And I know that's obvious, but I want you to consciously think about these steps because polynomial long division is a lot more complicated. Then 3 goes into 5 once, then you multiply. Okay, so I take the 1 times the 3 to get 3, and then I'm going to subtract. Okay, when you subtract, 5 minus 3 is 2, and then you carry down, I guess, is what I would call the next step. So I carry down the 7, and then I repeat, right? So it's kind of these 4 steps over and over and over again until you get to the end of your number. So then I know 3 goes into 27 9 times, and 9 times 3 is 27. And I subtract and I get 0. And now there's nothing left to carry down, so I know I'm done. However, let's just say this was not 0, then let's say this was 1. I would know I would have 19 and 1/3, but I don't have a remainder, so I know it's 19. Now polynomial long division is the same exact steps, so always keep this process in the back of your mind if you get lost. Okay, here we go. Polynomial long division. I'm going to do one example really slow and kind of step by step, and then I'm going to have you try one and see how you do. So 4x to the 4th plus 5x squared minus 9x plus 18, and we're going to divide that by the quadratic x squared plus 2x plus 4. So the first thing you want to do, and it's not a necessity, but you probably want to do it, is make sure if you have x to the 4th, you should then have x to the 3rd, x squared, x to the 1st, x to the 0. So note I don't have x to the 3rd, so I'm going to just kind of toss in a 0, x to the 3rd, and then I'm going to set this up. So I have 4x to the 4th plus no x cubed plus 5x squared minus 9x plus 18, and I'm going to divide that by x squared plus 2x plus 4. All right, that's an x. Okay, so then the first step in regular long division is to divide, and that is going to be the first step in polynomial long division, but specifically, and I'll underline this with a different color, is you're taking the first term divided by the first term. So I'm really taking 4x to the 4th and dividing it by x squared. And of course, you know your exponent rules, so that would be 4x squared. Okay, and then second step is to multiply. So I'm going to take 4x squared, but now I'm going to multiply 4x squared times the entire quadratic. Okay, so I'm going to take 4x squared times x squared, which is 4x to the 4th, 4x squared times 2x, which is 8x cubed, and then 4x squared times 4, which is 16x squared. Okay, so again, multiply step, make yourself a note that you take this times the entire quadratic there. Third step then is to subtract. Okay, so I'm going to subtract, and this is the one step where everybody makes a mistake, so make yourself a huge note. I am subtracting all of this quartic function. Okay, so what I do personally is I carry through this subtraction, so I'm really subtracting that, subtracting that, subtracting that. So what I do is I change this to a plus, and then I change all of these signs so that I hopefully catch it. So my x to the fourths cancel out. 0 minus 8 is negative 8x cubed. 5 minus 16 is negative 11x squared. And then your fourth step, I'll scooch this up here, your fourth step is to carry down. So I'm going to carry down the negative 9x, and then you repeat. So now I'm back up to dividing. So I'm still dividing my first term, which is x squared. Now I'm dividing it into negative 8x cubed. So that would reduce to just negative 8x. So that goes up top, minus 8x. Okay, then I'm to multiplication. So I'm going to take negative 8x times all of this quadratic. So negative 8x times x squared is negative 8x squared, x cubed, excuse me. And negative 8x times positive 2 is negative 16x squared. And lastly, negative 8 times 4 is negative 32x. And then I subtract, and again I have to remember to subtract all of this, so I really add, and then I change all the signs, so this will be a plus, and a plus. So my cubes cancel. Negative 11 plus 16 is 5x squared, and negative 9 plus 32 is positive 23. And then I carry down. So carry down the 18, and notice that's my last carry down. So that's good news. This should be my last step. So phew, take a deep breath. My last division here is 5x squared divided by x squared, which the x squares cancel out, so that's just 5. So I'm going to put a plus 5 here, and then I multiply 5 times all of the quadratics. So 5 times x squared is 5x squared. 5 times 2x is 10x. And lastly, 5 times 4 is 20. And then I subtract the entire quadratic, so I'm really going to add a negative, a negative, a negative. So the x squares cancel. 23 minus 10 is 13x, and 18 minus 20 is negative 2. Now I have nothing left to carry down, so make yourself a note. I'm done, but I don't have 0. Okay, so here's how you write a remainder with a polynomial function. This is my remainder, and if it were a regular long division problem, I would write it divided by my dividend there. So I'm going to, up here, up at the top, I'm going to write plus 13x minus 2, all divided by that quadratic, x squared plus 2x plus 4. And I know it looks kind of silly, but that's how you write a remainder. And that is long division. All right, I'm going to do one more. You decide if you need to walk through this again, but pause the video and try this when you're on your own. Or if you really understand it, then you can skip this example altogether. So I'm going to do just one more quickly for you. So we are taking this cubic function, and we're going to divide it by a nice linear function. And I have x cubed, I have x squared, I don't have any x, so I'm going to squeeze in a plus 0x. And actually, you know what? Alright, so first step is to divide. So again, I'm always dividing my first terms. So x cubed divided by x is x squared. So that's what goes on top. And then I multiply x squared times x is x cubed. X squared minus 4 is minus 4x squared. And then I'm subtracting everything, so that changes all the signs. So my cubes cancel. I have negative 2x squared, and then I carry down, but I'm carrying down no x. And I divide again. So negative 2x squared divided by x would be negative 2x. And I multiply negative 2x times Negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared. Negative 2x times negative 4 is positive 8x. And then I'm subtracting everything, so I'm going to change the signs of everything. So my squares cancel out. 0 minus 8 is negative 8x, and I carry down my last plus 9. And one last division here. So negative 8x divided by x is just a negative 8. And multiplying negative 8 times x is negative 8x. Negative 8 times negative 4 is plus 32. I subtract everything or change the signs of everything, and 9 minus 32 is negative 23. And that's my remainder, so I go up here and I write minus 23 divided by x minus 4. Takes some getting used to. Hopefully you did well with that.